All right, good evening. Brian Helmick of the East Contra Costa Fire Protection District. Looks like we're live. I'm actually going to be checking my devices here to make sure we are live. And I don't quite see it as of yet, so I'm going to wait for a second. And I do have it. So for those of you that are streaming live with us, welcome. I'm going to give it a couple more seconds. I'm asking everybody that's watching this to share it on your personal timeline, as I'm doing myself, as this will help get the word out. To be able to educate and inform the people what's going on within the East Contra Costa Fire Protection District. So I'm going to wait one more second, and I'm asking for people to share, as I'm doing on my personal device. And then once we get going, all right. Looks like we have 6 people online right now. I'm going to give another second or two. I do appreciate those of you that are attending. This live event, State of the District, is being shared on Facebook and YouTube. It will be also saved on Facebook and YouTube for those that are not able to attend here tonight. The goal of today is to be able to share with the residents of Brentwood, Oakley, Knighton, Bethel Island, Discovery Bay, Byron, Marsh Creek, and Morgan Territory, essentially the jurisdiction of the East Contra Costa Fire Protection District, and update and inform you on service level increases that are forthcoming and on the work we have done as an agency over the past couple of months. I've had an opportunity to come in front of you since October 20th of last year, and I'm excited as there's many updates I'll be giving you about your fire district in regards to changing and fixing many of the service level deficits that we've had in the past. We have 40 people on, so I'm going to continue forward. The way tonight is I'm going to work through a presentation. I believe that presentation will take me maybe 15 or 20 minutes, and then we open it up for any questions on maybe what I share, more importantly, that I don't share about your fire district that anybody wants to know. If you're watching this on Facebook or YouTube, you can start to populate your questions right now. We do ask that you leave your questions the 30 word less, because it does cut off our end. As we retrieve the questions and are placed onto the screen, it does make it a little difficult to interpret what the questions are if you go beyond 30 questions. So keep your questions to 30 words or less. I ask you to start populating them now, and I'll remind you again when I get through my presentation, so you can ask any of the questions that you have. So again, please share this. I think this is information. This is great information that is for all of the residents, and I'm looking forward to sharing it with all of you. Let me just jump right into the presentation. So tonight, the State of the District, what I hope to share with you is give a brief background of who East Contra Costa Fire is, our challenges that we have taken, that your fire board has taken from 2017 to 2022 to address our historic challenges. I'll give you an idea of what they are, what we have done, and I think importantly, I'm going to give you a current status report of where your fire district is and next steps that are to come. And that's a little teaser on the next one, but I'll give you locations for additional information that can be found at East Contra Costa Fire's website, but also information on the Contra County Fire Protection District, which will be more relevant and make more sense once I work through the presentation tonight. I will also be going through and giving you an update on some upcoming ceremonies that the district, and then more importantly, I'll be providing questions, opportunity for questions, and I'll answer them best of my ability. Next slide, please. So many of you may know, and for those of you, I appreciate you walking this again, but those of you that don't know, the East Contra Fire Protection District service area is served from 1924, and it was served till 2020 by volunteer and or combination fire districts. That means that there's combination and professional career 24/7 firefighters. In 2002, the Board of Supervisors established the new consolidated East Contra Costa Fire Protection District, and it was governed by the Board of Supervisors. They were the Board of Directors per se, from 2002 to 2010. And then the supervisors, the City of Oakley and the City of Brentwood, which we call land agencies, we serve Brentwood, Oakley, and the county, they appointed directors. And the directors that they appointed had 9 board of directors at the time. There was 4 of them appointed by Brentwood, 3 of them appointed by Oakley, 2 directors by the county, and it's like that all the way until 2019, And we finally got an elected board of 5, which is your fire board today. The independent special district, which means that we are governed, and we have our own budget. We're independent, separate from the land use agency serve, as I stated, what Oakley and the county, but we're purely independent, governed by the board, manage our own budgets, and personnel is ours, although we serve those different area communities. We have a 249 square mile footprint. As I stated, we cover Brentwood, Oakley's, and unincorporated areas of Contra Costa County with a population of approximately 130,000 residents. When you think about the workers come to our area and people come to visit our area, the population base can swell up to 160,000, which is a good amount of people. We have right now in 2020, we had 8,481 incidents. That took us 10,600 pieces of equipment to be able to mitigate. It's pretty substantial. We're doing that currently at 3 fire stations. We have an existing 3-station deficit, so we should have 6 fire stations today. And we know over the next 20 years, when we look at growth in Brentwood, Oakley, and the county, we're going to need a total of 9 stations. The reason that question sits there is that if urban limits change and or Wood, Oakley, and the county decide to change or build more outside of what we anticipate, we would need more than 9 stations. But today we believe that we need 9. So to be able to serve 132,000 residents and the 8,000 calls per year, we're trained, to say the least. We have been. It's been a historical regular issue. We have 3 stations, 3 that we need that is a deficit, and 3 for growth. That's a little bit about who we are. Next slide, please. This is a good slide to project the current situation of what you have on the left-hand side of the screen. We have 1 station in Oakley, that's station 53. And then we have station 52, in Oakley, station 53. And we have 52 in the city of Brentwood. And we have station 59, that is in Discovery Bay. Each one of those stations have 3 firefighters on per day. We have 3 separate shifts. So we have 9 firefighters assigned to each one of those stations, but only 3 on per day. And they respond to all the calls we have under jurisdiction. As you can see on the bottom left-hand corner of the screen, there's a CAL FIRE logo, and we do partner with CAL FIRE through contract in the winter months, staff the station on Marsh Creek Road. And what they staff during the winter months where historically they would be closed, but the district contracts with them. And in the summer month, fire season, it is CAL FIRE resource. So we do have a dedicated resource in the Marsh Creek area from CAL FIRE. Fire district ourselves, we have 3 existing stations. On the right-hand side of your screen shows you a good picture of the service, the existing service level deficits, and the 6 stations we should have. So if you see the ones on the left that are transposed also there on the right, but you'll see the green station. That's the existing station level, existing deficits that we have. In Bethel Island, station 55, and it is constructed, and I'll be discussing our plan to be able to staff the station in the very near future. Secondarily, downtown Brentwood is station 54, and I'll be discussing here our plan to be able to construct and also staff that station downtown Brentwood. One that is to the west, which is closer to the bypass between the Oakland and Brentwood station, that's station 51. And we have a plan in place also to be construct and to staff that station, which I'll share here in a moment. So I'll come back to this slide here, but this gives you a good picture of where we are today, our current staffing, our current existing level of deficits, and what we anticipate. In blue is what we anticipate over the next 20 years. We'll need an additional 3 stations to address the population growth at that time. So in the end, we'll have 3 stations in Oakland, 4 stations in Brentwood, and 2 in the unincorporated areas of Contra Costa County. That's our current plan. Next slide, please. Historical challenge. This is a key point, and we will be building off of this. Past 5 years, your fire board has been working to address these 2 challenges. Our challenge was serving existing population, making sure that we have adequate protection 24/7, 365 to residents with the East Contra Costa Fire Protection District. Again, Brentwood, Oakley, Knights and Bethel Island, Byron, Discovery Bay, and Marsh Creek. We want to make sure we have adequate protection for existing residents. With a 3-station, it makes it very difficult to be able to meet the response that we have. And the reason that we can't provide stations is because we're not adequately funded. It's always been the issue, not having adequate funding. And this problem started in the 70s, has compounded over the years, not managing growth responsibly. It has created a huge deficit that we have. We have half of the budget we need to be able to provide the services of today. Essentially, we are funded as a volunteer fire organization, although we're providing national 24/7, 365 services. And we know it's not sustainable. We are sustaining 3 stations, but we are not 6. That's our number one. The second problem that we have is protecting the future growth and the population that's to come. We know that if we do not correct the mistakes of the past and take care of responsible development, our deficit of 3 stations will over time grow to a station deficit, which we do. And so these 2 topics are things that the number 1 and 2 things that the district has been working on since 2017, correct? And that's what I'm speaking about here, about what your fire district's done 2017, from April 2017 to today. The things we've done to address these 2 issues, to elevate fire services sustainably, means continue on for a long time for all of our residents. And that's what I'm going to spend doing on the next 2 slides. Next slide. So from 2017 to now, 2 slides where I'm really going to just go through, and I'm going to read through some bullets and upon them a little bit to really archive and demonstrate to you, all those that are watching live and or those that come back and watch, done the work that your fire board, your staff, our partner agencies. When I say partner agencies, those can be other fire districts, those can be other associations, that can be the city of Oakley, the city of Norwood, and Contra Costa County Board of Supervisors. There are many people who have invested a lot of time, energy, and effort and knowledge that we have a huge problem here in East Contra Costa County for fire protection, for fire and rescue services for the residents. They've been inadequate. They're not by any stretch reasonable. And it's something that many people starting in 2017, we have amplified and educated the problem, and we have worked diligently to be able to address it. So in the forefront, I want to make it very, very clear that the victories of which we're going to celebrate months and the year to come should be celebrated by many. Not only in the foremost should be the fire board that is led from the front to get these done, but it is also, again, the cities, the county, the labor groups, Local 1230, and many other people that have invested in International Association of Firefighters, Local 1230, and many other groups that have been trying to correct this fire problem that it's been existing and plaguing us for decades, not only as firefighters, but also as the citizens of this fine jurisdiction. And so I'm going to go through the successes that we accomplished, and I'm going to show you what these successes have done and what they produced. These successes in themselves, they're really not much to celebrate. They're small victories, but we're looking at winning the war, not just the battle. And every one of these bullet points were their own individual battles that were conquered to be able to bring us to where we're going. And so as I work through these 2 slides, I think that this is going to show you the positive and the fruit of which it produced. So all of these things collectively produced the next steps and the outcomes where we're going to go. Each one of them should be celebrated in their own accord. We started back in 2017 and transformed from a non-sustainable 4 to 5 stations. Many of you remember that we would open a station, close a station, open a station, close a station, hire people, let people go. It wasn't sustainable. We had temporary Band-Aid solutions for funding, and we didn't have sustainable funding. And so we boiled ourselves down to live within means. We were sustainable, which means we can year after year after year, as long as we forecast ahead, can be sustainable at 3 stations. And so we lived within our means. We adjusted our operations, our administrative activities, and we identified what we needed to be able to do to be able to grow in the future. So we boiled down within our means, and that also helped us to handle retention issues. We had major retention issues. We had more people leaving the district on an annual basis than coming to the district. We had a gap between our senior members and our new members. And the reason this was occurring is because people knew if they came here, the funding for their positions were temporary. And by going to a sustainable organization, what it did is it gave people confidence that they came here, their job was secure. Furthermore, we started doing community reach. And we wanted to make sure that everyone knew not only that we were not sustainable, did not have adequate funding, adequate protections, and needed to live within our means. And we needed to find alternative revenue if we wanted free services, and we had to address our growth challenges. So to do those things, we came together as a community, and many of you that are watching or will watch, you guys participated in this, but we did a 2019-23 strategic plan. And we came together and built what we wanted to do over those years to address our historical challenges, providing adequate fire protection to our existing residents, to address our growth challenges. Once we developed a strategic plan, we built an implementation action plan to be able to implement it, and quarterly we reported out on it and we leaned into it. That helped us all the succession plan, not only from my position, firefighters, engineers, and captains, and look at if we wanted to open additional stations, how many people we would need, what is the time frames to open additional stations if we had adequate funding. And through that process, we also realized that much of our equipment, because we were living in a system of opening and closing stations on a rapid time, we could not invest into updating and maintaining our stations, updating, maintaining our equipment. And equipment is what we wear, what we use, where we live, and our homes, the fire station. And so to be able to address that, we had to work out a capital equipment replacement plan. We had to start buying new equipment, buying new engines, and that also helped with retention because now we were providing our firefighters, your firefighters, with the tools and resource equipment they needed to be able to serve you better. It improves response time, it produces better performance, and it provides a safer environment for our firefighters to work in, and we spent a lot of time taking care of that. Secondarily, we built our administrative divisions to be able to support my position in all functions of the fire district, human resources to finance, prevention, all divisions of the organization. We did not have what they call a good span of control or division of labor. We reinforced those because we knew that those functions would be able to run a responsible business per se, and to be able to support the firefighters that are out on the street that call the tip of our spear. And so we developed those divisions. We created new positions. We started working on finances. We started becoming more transparent. We worked our business, running our meetings, the way we agendize, and what things can we bring in front of our fire board to take action on. That was a catalyst to bring us forward. And I stated we didn't have a fire prevention bureau prior to 2017, but in 2019, we established a fire prevention bureau. This fire prevention bureau brought you inspectors, it brought you investigators, plan reviews. You have to travel outside of the district to be able to get things done within your jurisdiction for fire protection. And that's led by Fire Marshal Steve Albert and his group. And they built that division from the ground up. And that has been a great addition to our organization. Furthermore, we constructed a new Station 55. A lot of people question building a new station, can't staff the station. What's going on? Well, we knew that if we got funding and adequate funding, we didn't want to wait to build a station. So as we were purchasing equipment, we were also building stations prepared for. I was always confident that if our fire board followed the strategic plan, if they did corrective actions, that we would be growing. And we have plans in place not only build Station 55, but we're also working on one in Brentwood. I'll get to you here. We had many surplus properties. We needed to care them. We had to maintain them, excess cost. We surplus them. We had one in Byron, one in Discovery Bay, and one in Bethel Island. And we are looking at future station locations and rebuilding them to today's standards to make sure they not only serve the communities, but also our firefighters as well. We updated the impact fees. I thank the city of Oakley. I thank the city of Brentwood. I thank Contra Costa County for working with the district to update the impact fees. For those of people who don't know what impact fees were, I didn't know before I was the chief either. But impact fees are used to build future fire stations. So there's 3 fire stations that we need to build in the future. We did not have, nor were we collecting from developers, adequate impact fees to build future fire stations. But I do thank the city of Brentwood and Oakley that they did update their impact fees. And now we have a plan not only to build fire stations in the next years, but also work towards developing adequate training grounds. We do not have dedicated training grounds for your firefighters. They train in their stations, they train on the streets, which is not adequate. They deserve better. And so we are working on also doing training grounds, and I'll hit on in a moment. Next slide, please. The last slide on what we have done is we worked on a district-wide community facilities district. As I stated, I think Brentwood, Oakley, and the county for the impact fees to build the stations and buy the equipment for future impacts of development. But what these community-wide community facility districts do is it pays for the ongoing operational expenses for our firefighters. frankly, if we put these community facility districts in place in 1970s, we wouldn't have a 3-station deficit. We would not have a revenue issue, but homes were being developed. The district was not collecting the appropriate amount of impact fees to build stations and or to buy equipment, and we were not putting new assessments on new development to pay for their impacts to the system. And so for decades, growth continued, and additional revenue outside of the 1% cutout that we get from your taxes or ad valorem, that 1%, which was set at a volunteer rate for the fire district, we had inadequate funding. Now the district put in place those impact fees I discussed, now these community facility districts, and your fire district now can grow and not be concerned that adequate fire protection revenue will not come in, so we can build those future fire stations to address the impacts from growth. The bleeding has stopped. Your fire district, your fire board, and the cities of Brentwood, Oakley, and the county have come together and fixed the problem that got created decades ago that caused the issue that we have. They have stopped the bleeding, taken the action, and we are all participating in responsible growth. I commend all the land use agencies and the fire board and everyone that's participating for correcting this historical decade issue. So problem number 2, the growth is resolved, but your current existing service level deficit is not. And well, in this conversation, but as I get to it, it will be. So what we also continue to do is we also put in place a benefit assessment and a parcel tax through an engineer's report, and we put that onto a shelf. And we said, listen, know that the fire has the ability and the land use agencies have the ability to address our growth challenges. But what are we going to do about our existing service level deficits? You see, the citizens of our jurisdiction stated to us very clearly multiple times through other revenue enhancement that they did not agree with placing an additional assessment for fire protection on their homes. And what was interesting from my perspective was, although I understand, I'm a resident too, nobody wants taxes, I don't want taxes, but what I'll say is that the same methodology we're placing on the future development for the future impacts is essentially what we're trying to go back to do, is place it on those that are already here to address the impacts from growth. But the district heard loud and clear that you need to identify and explore alternative means, and that's exactly what we did. With that said, as we got these parcel taxes and these assessments, and we put them onto a shelf and said, we will go on a journey. And we're going to explore at the federal, state, and local level every option that we can in lieu of a tax. And when and if we're able to find something successful, we won't go out for a parcel tax. But if we don't, we have to demonstrate, and people need to monitor our behavior and make sure that we do everything we can to explore all options. And if we come back and we're able to resolve a 1-station deficit or 2 of the 3 stations or all 3, victory. And we were able to, throughout our journey, we've corrected things which are down below. We had some pension challenges, some pension, we had some, what's the best way of saying it? We had pension contributions and the way that things were set up through policy that was putting East Contra Costa Fire at a disadvantage. We got those corrected, and that revenue alone made opening a 4th station. So we had a 4th station with or without the consideration of annexation. Just one of many examples. But again, if we went through all of the exercises and we couldn't get the revenue, we were going to have to put a measure in front of the public, and they would choose what level of protection they want. And I'm very thankful for the fact that we don't have to exercise those because we found alternative means, which I'm going to share with you here in a moment. As I stated, we prepared for a station independent of annexation. And we also have a plan and a timeline to staff not only the 4th station, 5th station, and the station. And we have also acquired all of the land. The fire district didn't even own the land in Brentwood for our fire stations and or within Oakley, all of them. But again, thank you to the city of Oakley and the city of Brentwood working with us. The fire district now owns not only our current sites, but also some of our future for stations. And this is the big key point here. All of these items, as I stated, to address our existing issue, this sustainable organization, brought more revenue to the district. It really brought us up to current age means where we had existing service level revenue deficits we had to address. We had one last stop. And the reason it was the last stop is because it isn't something the district hasn't done before. It's something we've done many times before. But we have sought out with our partner agent, Contra Costa County Fire, the concept of annexation for decades. It is not a viable option. The East Contra Costa Fire, it was known that we were a liability versus an asset. But the work, your fire board, the Brentwood, Oakley, county, the labor groups, other community members, and your staff, the work that we have done over 5 years has been able to make the district respectfully more attractive. It has made it more of an asset. We have something to share. Furthermore, is that there was the thought and the belief that there were efficiencies in annexation, no differently than if you're a smaller, say, hardware store versus a Home Depot, there's economy in size. So the concept was, can a larger agency run more stations at a rate that is less than that East Contra Costa can do? And so for that reason, because we had corrected all of these things in these last 2 slides, we would make one last attempt to be able to seek annexation prior to going out for a measure. At the same time, as we went and started working with Contra Costa County Fire and the labor groups, looking conceptually at the feasibility of annexation, the concept of Measure X, the countywide half-cent sales tax was occurring. And so we worked to not only look at the efficiencies of annexation combined with the county tax, looking to see if annexation was feasible. And I'll give you an update that in a moment. And the last piece is that we looked at the feasibility for training grounds at Iron House Sanitary District. We reported out to both of the boards, and we think we have grounds conceptually. It's going to take some time to work through some environmental studies and land use agreements, and it could take some time, some years to work that out. But between the last couple big issues that we have is addressing the 3-station existing deficit, securing long-term training ground storage and offices and fleet for the district. And both of those things are in process, and this is the plan. Next slide. So in the annexation process, this is what we have done. We started this back in 2020, and in the phase 1, we did a paper napkin test. We went and we discussed and looked at the finances. This is really between fire chief and fire chief. It was more of a conceptual idea, and we brought a consultant in to double check our math, and it proved to show that there was efficiencies in annexation. But the phase 2 of the annexation feasibility study is we did a really deep dive. The really deep dive was going to looking at stakeholders, elects, community leaders, firefighters from not only Contra Costa County, East Contra Costa, coming together and doing a deeper financial analysis that was more in the moment, but also over the next 5 years. And it proved to show that there was efficiencies from annexation, and then Measure X was also becoming a reality because it had passed. And that is when the board started passing resolutions, and they had resolutions of intent to annex. To go through a process of annexing or dissolving an agency and or moving boundaries, you have to go to LAFCO, which is the Land Use Formation Commission of Contra Costa County. We went through that process. From essentially, I believe we started going there in about June, in December, January, and we finalized that process in just this last month. And last Tuesday, LAFCO finally approved, and they have a resolution of boundary acceptance to where the East Contra Costa Fire Protection District is going to be dissolved. This fire district will be dissolved on June 30th. June 30th. It's right around the corner. So on June 30th, the district will be dissolved at midnight, and that actually should say dissolved in June 30th, 2022, and then on July 1, we will all be East Contra Costa Fire employees. And so your East Contra Costa Fire Protection District will become and annexed into the existing Contra Costa County Fire Protection District. And that is the services you will provide. I have a slide coming up here in a moment that there's going to be 2 ceremonies that are that we will be doing prior to annexation. We're going to be opening Station 55 in Oakley with paramedics. That is a big deal. Your fire district currently has EMTs, emergency medical technicians on all of your fire engines. You have your first career staff 24/7, 365 paramedic fire engine at Station 55 on June 1, starting as 100 in 2022. That should say 2022. And then we will also be adding a paramedic on July 1, 2022 at Station 52. So I'll be hitting on those here in a moment. But I'm happy to report out that not this last step going through annexation, and it has taken from August of 20 till now, but we have found a solution and a way to address existing service level deficits without bringing a new measure, but it does take dissolving the East Contra Costa Fire Protection District in the best interest of the citizens and the businesses of the jurisdiction, and also for our firefighters to increase service levels without any additional taxes from the East Contra Costa Fire Protection District. Next slide, please. So going back to this slide, I want to be able to give you some reasonable timelines and understanding of what you can see on the right-hand side. When I met with you in October, when annexation was just a concept, I didn't know if it would be the existing service level deficits were that. We didn't know when and if we were going to be able to make this happen. Through a resolution of not only the East Contra Costa Fire Protection District, but Contra Costa County, we have resolutions that have been approved by LAFCO, that is going and approved by the state, that will be effective, and our plan will start to implement it in June, as I stated. So in June of 2022, Station 55 is staffed with Contra Costa County Fire members through agreement with the East Contra Costa Protection District, because annexation doesn't occur until July 1. The station will be staffed and there will be a paramedic on board. July 1st, as stated, the existing Brentwood station will also get a paramedic at that station on July 1. So we have 2 of our 4 stations that will have paramedic at the station. Looking sometime within March of 23 to add a second ALS engine company to station 52 and or 53. And so you're going to finally get, and we're going to work over the next 5 years to get paramedics across the board. But you should get a paramedic station 53, and we'll add a second company at 52. And so to be clear, by March of 23, you should have paramedics station 55, 53, and 2 at 52. And I'm really happy to report we have different types of pieces of equipment. We have type 1 fire engines, or structural firefighting engines. We have what are called trucks. Trucks have the ladders that could go multi-story. In March of 23, as long as it arrives on time, the East Contra Costa Fire Protection Region, which will be ConFire at that time, we'll have a dedicated truck company, which also will have a paramedic on it. And so we're going to continue working to get all of the stations by 2023-24 across the board. And Station 51 that has not been constructed, and Station 54 downtown Brentwood that are not constructed, we're working on not only constructing them within the next 5 years, but we're also looking for them to be staffed. And so there's a lot being said there. I'm going to reinforce this the next time I come and meet with you in June. But this is the simplest way of saying it is, your fire district, your fire board has resolved your growth challenges with the support of the cities and the county. And with cooperation from the Contra Costa County and the labor groups and your fire board, is that your existing service level deficits are going to begin to be resolved on July 1. And we're going to strive to eliminate them as fast as we can, no later than a 5-6 year window. But we're striving to do it before then. Next slide, please. So we welcome you, and we are going to produce releases onto this upcoming ceremonies. At Station 55, we're going to have a ribbon cutting ceremony on June 1st at 10 o'clock, and we'll do addresses, and then we will also get you addresses and the times once the formal press releases come out, and when that engine will be in this that day, and we're going to be celebrating that. And the big day, July 1, 2022, transfer of command ceremony. I'll be transferring my authority fire chief over to Fire Chief Louis Burchard. You'll be in leadership in good hands with Chief Burchard at the Contra Costa County Fire Protection District. And your fire board will be transferring their authority to the Contra Costa County Fire Board. It is also the Contra Costa County Supervisors. And your fire board and the fire district will be dissolved, and our services will be done. If you do not have this information, if you want this information or not on a press release, please go to the East Contra Costa Fire Protection District's website, sign up for releases, and you'll receive them, and or call our offices and we'll get them to you. 2 more slides. Next slide, please. So here's how you get information on the fire district. Currently, you can get everything on the district's website. but we will be transferring and forwarding everyone from our website to Contra Costa County Fire Protection District's website as of July 1. Furthermore, all social media from Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, Nextdoor, video, those channels are going to be available. We'll try to archive them and transfer them also to Costa County Fire channels. Your fire board meets on the second day of every month at 6:30. We live stream those. Those links are also available on our website. The last meeting for the fire district will be on June 8th, 2022. I will last and final state of the district, which will be on YouTube on June the 29th, which will be almost the eve of annexation, 6 p.m. That one's a little bit different. That meeting is going to celebrate what we all have accomplished and what is done, and ensure that everyone understands where they can get additional information, where they need to go to for further information, because these types of events will not continue or occur. Currently, they don't do them at the existing agency, and I will spend some time to give you some final and farewell thoughts, as it has been a privilege and an honor to serve you as the fire chief, the fire board, my staff. We have leaned into this, and we really wanted to fix it, and we're glad to say, although it may have taken some time, I'm just happy to report that we are here, and reinforcements are coming. So the 29th will be a privilege, and it's been an honor and farewell. Next slide, please. That concludes my presentation for you tonight. I do give, as I always do, you have my email. Both of these emails are currently active, so you can email me at the East Contra Costa Fire email and or the Contra Costa County Fire Protection District email that is down below. I will be transferring over to serve as the fire chief, but I'll have the privilege to serve as the deputy fire chief, report directly to the fire chief of Contra Costa County Fire. And I just want to let you all know, as I will stress again on the 29th of next month, is I'll always be an advocate, and I'll always advocate, I should say. And I'll be an ambassador of the East Contra Costa Fire Protection District communities. This is home for me, and I'm very happy to have success in this. But my job and our job is not done. It's transitioning. My cell phone is available to anyone that so desires to call. That phone number will carry over with me, and that is where we are. So I would like to know if anyone put any questions. I do welcome them to be forwarded to me. I have people in the background working on us, and I'll work to address them, and we'll spend the time doing it. We need to have some weeds and bamboo and cut down by the gas station on Gateway Road in Bethel Island. So great, Robert, I appreciate you raising that question. We've started vegetation abatement season. In the very near future, notices and inspection are going to be starting. And so I'm going to make note of that. I'd be surprised if our Bureau doesn't already have that on their radar. With that said, consider it handled. Now, understand on all weed abatement complaints and issues, jurisdiction-wide, within East Contra Costa and also fire, the day that a report is made, we have to start communicating and working with the parcels, and it takes us weeks before we can actually get onto their property and bait ourselves if they are non-responsive. It takes even longer if they're semi-responsive, and we need to continue to work with them, but if they're non-responsive, it still takes us a couple weeks, if not months, to be able to get through some of those properties, depending upon legalities. So please contact us. We have complaint forms and ways to complain nuisances on our website, and also there's call-in information if need be. But this is season, and we want to be preventative to prevent those things from coming. So I appreciate that, Robert. Please keep them coming to our Bureau. Next question, please. When is Station 55 going to be up and running? June 1. I'm happy to report June 1. We've been told many occasions 2022 to 22. When will the funds be able to staff it? So when? So Sharon, I'm sorry it took longer in my presentation to get it there, but you're going to have not only a staffed engine competition 55 on June 1, but you're also going to have the first staffed paramedic fire engine in the county, and it is going to stay a staffed paramedic fire engine. Always, it's just going to continue going on. We have the funding for it, and then we're going to be adding it throughout the system. So all of the residents of Bethel Island, I know that you guys have been underserved for a long time, and I'm glad that this resource is coming. And I do know that the optics were questionable, and was it going to come to fruition? I've always told you the truth. It has always been the desire. The window of time was from from March, April-ish to July of 21. That's always been the window, starting in August of 2020, if we can make this happen. I know it's on the later end, but I'm glad to have it. So Sharon, thank you to you, all of the residents, all of the community leaders and the groups that have really been in our ear, fighting and advocating for yourselves. Well done, and your services are coming starting June 1. Thank you. Next question, please. Thank you for all we've done. Confire is going to be under huge pressure to treat our East Coast firefighter as well. John, thank you. I appreciate that. And I will tell you that I think everyone desires to treat our members well. And as I stated, I'm not going anywhere. And hopefully I've demonstrated to you that the community and also our firefighters are something that I take seriously. And it is my job to make sure they're taken care of the best that I can. And I'll continue to advocate that as we move forward. So John, I can give you that guarantee. Next question, please. Beth, thank you for caring. Great question. My position, as I stated on the last slide, I'll be a deputy chief. So within our agency, I'm the fire chief. Battalion chiefs report to me, and then we have station captains. The way that Contra Costa County Fire works, they have hundreds of employees where we had less than 100. We had our time getting 50. But they have hundreds of employees, and I will be, they have the fire chief, then the deputy chief, and then assistant chiefs, and then battalion chiefs, and then the state captains. They have multiple deputy chiefs. I'm going to have the privilege and honor to serve in that capacity and continue to do the work that is not yet done, and continue to ensure that we continue to increase service levels and address growth responsibly. So I'm still going to be around, and my contact information is on the slide in front of you. Thank you, Beth, for caring. Next question, please. I thank you for your patience. I thank everyone for the support. It's been a long haul. We still got work to do. We're not done yet, but I appreciate you, Shelley. Thank you for being tonight. Thank you, Sharon. Nope, we look forward. Hey, please come out and celebrate that station. It's your fire station in Bethel Island. It's well overdue. It's a beautiful fire station. Yeah, it's going to be a really exciting day. Come to that one, and also the transfer command ceremony. As again, this is your fire district. We're just changing patches, we're changing names. It's your fire district, and we want you to be there to celebrate this victory. So thank you, Sharon. Next question, please. All right. Well, look, that 42 minutes. I did go long-winded on the presentation. I do appreciate you those being here. Again, this will be archived on Facebook and on YouTube. I recommend you of those that hear things in the community that you share it. Please share my contact information. If anyone's more specifics or something I said was too quick or wasn't clear, I have a habit of doing that. Get a little excited from time to time. But I want to continue to answer your questions as we move through even annexation. I want to be a resource to you. Again, we will be doing this one last time. June the 29th, put it on your calendars, is the last time that we'll be holding this. Again, I will be really stressing and highlighting our victories. I will be saying to you the honor and privilege it has been to be our chief, and saying farewell from this capacity. So this will conclude tonight's meeting. I do look forward to the opportunity to continue to serve you in any capacity that I'm in. And until then, just thank you for your continued support. Please continue to communicate with me. And please be safe. See you soon.